Hello, and welcome to Overthinking Eurovision. I'm Matt Rather. At the end of our video on Norway's song this year, we asked people to vote in the comments to see who the true Queen of Kings was. Let's tally up the votes.
Sure thing, Matt. Daenerys received 15 votes. Beyoncé received 35 votes. The legendary Viking Queen Lagertha received 47 votes. And the Pirate Empress Jingxi sails to victory with a commanding 163 votes.
However, there was one candidate we didn't consider. Someone who is known for her black hair and fast sideways running. Someone who spread her wings in a performance in 2013 and escaped from a cage in 2023. And while that line about the North and Southern Seas doesn't seem to apply to Loreen, check this out. Her 2012 victory came on the shores of the Caspian Sea, the easternmost body of water in Europe. And if she wins again this year, it will be in a port city on the Atlantic Ocean, the western border of Europe. So maybe Alessandra just has her map turned sideways.
Hey, Queen of the Kings, running so fast, better the wind.
Perhaps it is appropriate that this year marks the 20th anniversary of Return of the King, and Eurovision, much like Gondor, is poised to welcome back its monarch. Now, seeing artists return to Eurovision is by no means rare. Besides Loreen, this year features Marco Mangione, who represented Italy in 2013, Monika Linkyte, who represented Lithuania in 2015, and Pasha Parfeni, who represented Moldova in 2012, the same year as Loreen. It's basically a high school reunion for those two. Seeing Eurovision winners return for an encore is less common. And nobody's been able to win twice, with the exception of Johnny Logan, who we're pretty sure is the only Eurovision contestant to be referenced in a Eurovision song.
I was born in distant 1980, the year that Irish Johnny Logan won.
In 2009, Alexander Rybak won a massive victory, scoring more points than any other act had before under that scoring system. 9 years later, he was back with That's How You Write a Song. And although he forever won our hearts by posting a nice comment on our review video, he only came in 15th in the grand final. By the way, we just need to humble brag that Rosalind commented on our first video of this season. Yes, that's actually her, although we have no idea what the eyes are supposed to mean. Are the eyes good?
I'm watching you, Wazowski. Always watching.
Our point is, Eurovision winners have returned before, and it hasn't been a big deal. Loreen's second act feels different. On February 25th, her performance in Melody Festivalen was disrupted by climate activists who ran up on stage with a banner. There's a reason they picked her song and not, Sober. But I think the best example of Loreen's queen-like status is that when the Belgian singer Gustav met her, he not only posted a video to his Instagram, he made it a sponsored post. He actually paid Instagram just to let people know that he had met Loreen. And we don't really blame him. So to understand why Loreen is special, let's go back to May 2012. TikTok was still 5 years in the future, the Avengers had assembled in movie theaters only a few weeks previously, and Gautier was all over the radio. Remember that guy? Now he's just somebody that we used to know. That year, the #1 gay tourism event in the world was held in Azerbaijan, and the reason was Elle and Nikki. We've mentioned Running Scared before as a good example of how countries sometimes strip themselves of cultural signifiers to appeal to international voters. But one thing we haven't mentioned is how aggressively mid this song is. It's generic melodically and lyrically. Neither singer has any big vocal moments. Nobody dances. This feels like up to the quality standards of a direct-to-streaming Disney production, like a High School Musical spin-off. Although the song did break the top 10 in Russia, Belgium, and, Iceland. Really? Number 2? Look, the point is that Running Scared was good enough to win Eurovision, but not to achieve mainstream success. 2012 would be a different story. After Loreen's victory, this song was an international smash hit. It peaked at #1 in 16 countries and broke the top 10 in almost every European nation except France and Italy. What is wrong with you? And in 2012, seeing a Eurovision song become a mainstream mega hit was cray-cray, which is something we used to say in 2012. Don't forget, the noughties were the height of Eurovision's kitsch era. For most of the decade, the winner was solely determined by televoting, leading to some pretty wild outcomes. In 2008, the winning song featured Olympic gold medalist and three-time world champion Evgeny Plushenko skating on artificial ice, while another man played an actual Stradivarius. It was entertaining, and I'm glad it exists, but it was not getting played on the radio. And just so we don't get well-actually'd in the comments, we acknowledge that 2010 was a little bit of a test run for Loreen's success. Satellite was a #1 hit in every Scandinavian country, Switzerland, and of course, Lena's native Germany. But Euphoria broke through on a whole new level, and it made people take the contest a little more seriously. It's not like Eurovision went completely mainstream after that. After all, the rise of Conchita Wurst would come in 2014. But it's fair to say that Loreen paved the way for mainstream success for Heroes, Toy, Arcade, and so on. Loreen legitimized the contest at a time when it was still kind of a joke. So in the minds of old-school Eurovision fans, she isn't just a former winner, she's a trailblazer. But there was something else Loreen is remembered for. She set a high watermark for artistic staging that few people have matched. Eurovision has had plenty of amazing dancers. It's had Vegas-style razzle-dazzle. It's had an upside-down man in a box. But not many people have had the chutzpah to go the full Bjork. The costume, the hair, the lighting, the snow, the dancing, the breakdancer who shows up for the last 30 seconds. This wasn't just pop, this was performance art. Now, maybe Bjork is not the right comparison. Loreen may be artsy, but she's not Matthew Barney artsy. We might compare her to Sia, another pop artist who combines electronic music with powerhouse vocals. More importantly, both Sia and Loreen take pop songs that don't seem that deep lyrically and give them challenging, highly conceptual stagings. Sia's music video for Elastic Heart had dancer Maddie Ziegler and actual cannibal Shia LaBeouf doing, I don't know if you can even call it a dance exactly, but it was pretty amazing. And in 2014, what could have been a completely routine performance of Chandelier on a late-night talk show featured Lena Dunham performing an interpretive dance. And Lena Dunham is definitely not a dancer. Now, of course, Sia suffers from crippling stage fright, so at least some of her unusual artistic choices come from a desire to give the audience something besides her to focus on. But there's a similar sense of elevating pop music by treating it like high art. And I'm sure we're going to get dragged hard in the comments for saying this, but our 2 cents is that Euphoria as just a song is nothing special, but Euphoria as a perfect union of song and performance is legendary. And I back that up by pointing to what Germany tried to do 1 year later.
'Cause every time we touch, I get this feeling.
Cascada is an electronic music group that had already obtained Dance Dance Revolution Immortality for their mega hits Every Time We Touch and Evacuate the Dance Floor by the time Euphoria came around. I like to imagine the band watching Eurovision together and doing the DiCaprio pointing at the TV meme. Wait a second, that's our thing. Sure enough, in 2013, Cascada was selected to represent Germany with their song Glorious, which was immediately accused of ripping off Euphoria. The German broadcaster NDR had to announce a special musical audit, which eventually concluded that the song was different enough to proceed. We discussed musical plagiarism in our video for Finland this year, and Overthinking Its official position is that these accusations are almost always unfounded and have an unfortunate, chilling effect on songwriting in general. There are millions of songs out there, and it's safe to say that any pop song is going to sound like at least one other pop song, if not dozens. But let me point something else out. Songwriters are totally allowed to take inspiration from other songs. One might argue that taking inspiration from other songs is the essence of songwriting.
You know that new sound you're looking for? Well, listen to this. That's how you write a song.
So if Cascada actually did set out to create a song that replicates some of Euphoria's sound, there's nothing wrong with that, providing they put their own Cascada spin on it, which they certainly did. But But if the plan was to follow in Loreen's barefoot footsteps, then whoops, Glorious finished 21 out of 25 countries in the finals. It received less than a third of the points of this guy. Now look, there are a lot of reasons Euphoria soared and Glorious was anything but. Euphoria is a more complex piece of music. Loreen is a stronger singer.
The world is ours.
But we think the most obvious difference is the staging. Euphoria was captivating TV. Glorious felt like she was stuck on a parade float. So that was Euphoria, a groundbreaking success artistically and commercially. And now, 11 years after Loreen's victory, she's back to see if she can still dominate the contest that she transformed. Next time, we'll look at the return of the Queen. She will be the warrior of the East and Western seas. It totally works. Alessandra is a prophet.